The moment King Charles opened the gates of Highgrove, it wasn't forgiveness, it was a warning disguised as a welcome, and Prince Harry walked straight into it knowing one wrong move could end everything.
This meeting took place at Highgrove House, according to Buckingham Palace.
I see this whole meeting less a family reunion and more of a test as to whether Charles can actually trust his younger son again.
This was a royal aide, said that the King's patience snapped. He was not willing to be pushed around nor indulge a constant state of, back to the word again, chaos.
These are two untrustworthy people. They're opportunists, and this is extortion.
In excess of $20 million. Down the toilet, gone, straight back to his father with his begging bowl.
What would success look like from the king's perspective? Silence?
It's a reward for bad behaviour.
I, as a parent, I can't imagine what it'd be like not talking to one of my children, not seeing my grandchildren for 4 years.
I'd be raging, absolutely raging.
The Sussexes have won. Meghan Markle, Paul Murray, back on royal property. And it's my understanding that William's furious about this. Why? Because it's a reward for the treachery, the disloyalty and the cruelty of Harry and Meghan.
On the surface, it looked like the ending everyone wanted. King Charles standing at Highgrove House, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle arriving with Archie and Lilibet, a long-lost family finally reconnecting after years of silence. It played like a fairy tale reunion, the kind of image that writes headlines before the truth even has a chance to breathe. But pause for a second, because something about that picture doesn't sit right. Something about it feels staged, controlled, almost too perfect to be real. And when a story looks too perfect in the royal world, it usually means something is being hidden just out of frame.
Particularly because the king has been ill. And at the end of it all, at the end of everything, family is all you've got.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Except that wasn't the real story at all. The deeper you go, the more this moment starts to unravel. This wasn't a reunion built on forgiveness, it was a test. A quiet, calculated test. And Prince Harry didn't walk into Highgrove as a son returning home, he walked in as someone being evaluated. Judged, measured, every step watched.
I think that's very deliberate. I see this whole meeting less a family reunion and more of a test as to whether Charles can actually trust his younger son again.
Because before Prince Harry even arrived, King Charles had already set the terms. Not suggestions, not hopes. Rules, hard lines drawn before the first car even turned into the driveway. No drama, no leaks, no headlines, no manipulation of the moment. And suddenly, this warm family reunion starts sounding a lot more like a controlled operation.
Success from the king's perspective was if his son doesn't call up
People magazine.
People magazine. There's no spread about it. There's no hidden cameras.
Think about that for a second. If a single camera appeared, it was over. If even a hint of opportunism surfaced, it was finished. No second chances. That's not how a father welcomes back a son he misses. That's how a king protects himself from someone he no longer trusts. And that distinction, that changes everything.
So there will be no photos, no sort of Instagram, no reporting of what's going on. And that tells me that the royal household and the king have said, right, if you're coming, this is on our terms.
This was King Charles drawing a line in the sand so clear it couldn't be ignored. One wrong move from Meghan Markle, one carefully timed leak, one whisper to the press, and the entire reunion would collapse instantly. So ask yourself, what kind of relationship requires that level of control just to exist?
There has been an issue with allegations that Harry's camp leaked some details, and that always really annoys Buckingham Palace and the king.
And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. King Charles didn't just hope Prince Harry would behave, he made sure the message was delivered. Explicitly, clearly, no room for misunderstanding. That alone tells you how fragile this situation really was.
There's a very small circle of people that they can trust, and once you're in that circle of trust, you remain in that circle of trust, and Harry has smashed that with a hammer.
Because people don't set conditions like that for someone they trust. They set them for someone who has broken that trust before, someone who has crossed lines that can't be uncrossed. And suddenly, this reunion starts to feel less like healing and more like damage control.
I think he did the sort of held the moral high ground, did the dignified thing, and if they choose to abuse that trust, it's not going to reflect very well on them.
One insider didn't even try to soften it. King Charles is willing to extend an olive branch, yes, but blind trust? That's gone. Completely gone. And once that kind of trust is broken in the royal world, it doesn't come back easily if it comes back at all. So what actually happened inside Highgrove? No photos, no official statements, no smiling family portrait to confirm the narrative being sold. Just silence. And in royal terms, silence is never accidental. It's deliberate, strategic, controlled. Because if this really was the joyful reunion it's being presented as, where is the proof? Where is the single image that would have instantly shut down every doubt? It wasn't released. And that absence speaks louder than any statement ever could. Instead, everything about that afternoon was locked behind palace walls. Every detail filtered, every word carefully managed, which raises the real question: who was being protected here? King Charles or the institution itself? Because what we're looking at isn't two sides rebuilding trust. It's one side protecting itself from the other. And Prince Harry knew it. He walked into that house fully aware that the terms were not his to set, that the control wasn't his, that even this moment seeing King Charles bringing Archie and Lilibet came with conditions attached. And that's the part no one wants to say out loud. This wasn't a homecoming. This was walking on eggshells in a place that used to feel like home. Because make no mistake, this was never framed as Prince Harry returning freely. It was framed as a privilege granted by King Charles, a controlled opportunity, one that could be taken away just as quickly as it was given. And if you look closely, every detail points to the same conclusion: the secrecy, the strict rules, the silence afterward. None of it signals reconciliation, it signals caution, fear of repetition, fear of history repeating itself in front of the world again. So the real question isn't whether the reunion happened, it did. The real question is what it cost Prince Harry to make it happen. What did he have to agree to? What did he have to give up? And how much of himself did he have to silence just to be allowed back into that room? Because when a reunion comes with rules this strict, is it really a reunion at all? And just when it starts to feel like this story couldn't get more complicated, there's one detail that shifts everything. One absence. One person who didn't show up. And that absence, it might be the loudest statement of all. And then comes the silence that says everything, because while King Charles was carefully controlling every second inside Highgrove, Prince William was making sure his position was seen loud, visible, and impossible to ignore. This is where the story fractures completely, because on the exact same day Prince Harry walked into Highgrove with Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lilibet, Prince William was nowhere near it, not delayed, not unavailable, deliberately absent. Prince William was out in public, playing polo, standing beside Catherine, the Princess of Wales, smiling, relaxed, completely at ease, and that contrast was not an accident. It was a statement. Two brothers, same country, less than 2 hours apart, and yet no meeting, no acknowledgement, no attempt to close the gap, not even a passing moment where paths might cross. That doesn't happen by chance. That happens by choice. And suddenly, the story isn't just about King Charles and Prince Harry anymore. It's about a divide that has hardened into something far more permanent. Because while King Charles was quietly negotiating terms behind closed doors, Prince William was sending a message in plain sight. A message that didn't need sources, didn't need leaks, didn't need explanation. Presence on one side and complete distance on the other. And insiders didn't soften it. Prince William wasn't just distant, Prince William was furious. Furious that Prince Harry, after everything that had happened, after the interviews, the accusations, the memoir, was being given access again. Furious that King Charles opening the doors of Highgrove could be interpreted as forgiveness when, in Prince William's eyes, nothing had been repaired. Because to Prince William, this didn't look like reconciliation. It looked like a reward for behavior that had shaken the institution, a reward for years of public fallout that Prince William had to absorb while holding everything together. And that's where the resentment cuts deepest. Because from Prince William's perspective, Prince Harry didn't earn that moment. Prince Harry was handed it. And once that idea takes hold, it changes how everything is seen. Because think about what Prince William has lived through. Watching private family moments turned into public content, watching deeply personal history become headlines, watching the monarchy itself pulled into controversy again and again. And every time, Prince William was the one left managing the consequences. So when King Charles opens that door even quietly, even under strict conditions, Prince William doesn't see a father reconnecting with a son. Prince William sees the same cycle starting all over again. And this is where it becomes impossible for King Charles to win, because every decision comes with a cost. Allow Prince Harry back in even carefully and risk alienating Prince William, the son who stayed, the son who carried the weight, the son who never stepped outside the line, but refuse Prince Harry entirely, and risk becoming the king who turned away from Archie and Lilibet, the king who let distance define the end of that relationship. There was no perfect outcome here, only trade-offs. And King Charles made a choice. Time with Archie and Lilibet, but on King Charles's terms. A controlled visit, a monitored environment, an arrangement built with an exit clause from the very beginning. And the price? The price was Prince William's anger, because that anger didn't disappear. It didn't soften. It didn't fade into the background. It stood there, just as visible as the polo match, just as deliberate as the absence from Highgrove. And this is the part nobody wants to admit. This wasn't one story. It was 3 stories happening at the same time. King Charles managing legacy, image, and personal longing all at once. Prince William managing frustration while presenting unity in public. And Prince Harry stepping into a space where every movement was being watched, measured, and remembered. 3 directions. One family, no alignment, which means what happened at Highgrove wasn't healing. It was containment, a carefully balanced moment designed to prevent further damage rather than repair what was already broken. A controlled interaction where nothing could go wrong because everything had already been restricted. And when you step back and look at the full picture, the rules, the silence, the absence, the visible divide, it becomes impossible to call this a reunion in the way it's being presented. Because real reunions don't come with warnings. They don't come with conditions. They don't come with a brother staying 2 hours away by choice. So the real story isn't that Prince Harry was welcomed back. The real story is how far Prince Harry still is from truly being welcomed at all. And if this was the price just to walk through the door, what does it say about what it would take to actually stay?